Hello. Uh, Welcome to another map making hangout for Blades in the Dark. Today we're with Ryan Dunleavy, one of the illustrators who's working on the hand-drawn version of the map. So I'm going to switch over to Ryan's camera here in a second so we can follow along while he's drawing, and we'll probably hang out and chat about different districts and architecture and that kind of stuff. So feel free to ask questions if you want as we're going. Otherwise, we'll just chat and draw for about an hour, and I will switch the camera to Ryan now.
Hey everybody, how's it look?
Looks pretty good.
Awesome. So I did a little bit more since the other night.
Yeah.
But I also prepared the second part of that map, which I think is the top. I guess if that's the top. So this is the more finished island here, which is this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did the outlines of the second part over here, not including this small little island there.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's beginning. I guess this is the side of that one. But I thought it'd be nice to sort of start with a clean sheet here, as I sort of figure out what the heck is going on. Actually, before I forget, I wanted to ask you. Allison brought up a good question the other day. Is there vegetation in Duskwall?
Yeah, there is some. I think it's mostly withered and sickly looking kind of stuff. I put some trees down in different places.
There is like some in that island right down here, right?
Right. It's probably not. Well, I mean, I guess there could be some kind of sad trees that that actually have leaves and stuff. I think that would be okay. Like, it doesn't make perfect sense with the world being dark all the time and everything, but it's a magical setting, and I think it would be okay if there were still some things that survive, because people still grow food, right? There has to be some kind of.
I guess it might be interesting if there's one area that's like the enchanted forest. It's like, I don't know, it's always green.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
Like a protected preserve kind of place. Like, who knows? It's probably something that players are going to want to destroy at some point.
Actually, that sort of spearhead tipped island down, the sort of southeastern section.
This part here.
Yeah, that's like the biggest sort of park-looking area on the map, I think. So
right.
that could be like a magically preserved kind of thing. That would be cool.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, because I mean, I was saying the other night that I have the little trees and stuff that are green.
Mm-hmm.
But then I have like the sickly dead ones, and I'm still working on what that might look like. But I mean, I just like the way that these kind of trees look.
Yeah, they look great.
But I guess maybe they could be like interspersed. I guess like rich people probably have like a tree on their property, and everyone thinks that's like super awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You have a tree, you must be super rich.
Yeah, I like that. I think I put a few on the sort of rich estates.
Right.
A couple of trees over there.
So I think, I have this one going pretty well, but I think just working on this and sort of like using this as my test bed, I think I'm going to get all of the areas blocked in and then roofed in, and then go back and start working on a lot of the details. And I'm not even sure if it's worth doing this kind of stuff. The detail might just get lost.
The cobblestones and stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I guess something that could be layered in and then turned on and off just to see.
That might be a good idea. Like, maybe ultimately they're 50% opacity or something, so the buildings pop out a little more. And
Right, exactly. Yeah, right now, if you step back just a couple feet, it's kind of like, oh yeah, well, kind of looks like just a gray pattern, which is kind of neat, but I don't know what that'll look like when I scan it in, and I'll probably scan this in to get a look at like how exactly this is turning out.
Yeah.
But I think the larger bricks, maybe like just do a lot of the larger avenues with the sort of big stones. That I think looks fine.
Yeah, that looks really good.
But the finer stuff just isn't quite. Even though, I mean, there's a lot of detail there, but maybe.
Yeah, when you're really tight, it's nice, but it does get lost.
Right. As soon as you move back, you're like, oh, it's just gray.
Yeah. Plus, it's super time consuming, and it might not be worth it. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, eventually, I'll probably just make some kind of texture, do a bunch of those.
Yeah. Just make a brush or something, and then fill it in Photoshop.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are your opinions on the progress so far in terms of the look of it?
Yeah, I think it's looking cool. The like general style here feels kind of like middle wealth kind of thing to me, I think.
Yeah.
With a kind of a mix of possibly nicer. I think there's some skylights and stuff in there that kind of make it look a little fancier.
Yeah.
But I like the overall style. The slat roofs are really great. Yeah, this is looking really good to me. I don't think I have any serious like criticisms exactly.
Right, and I guess like if this is upper, what would be considered a lower class kind of roof? Is it all like the kind of the flat roof areas?
If it was like a poorer thing.
Yeah, I mean I guess like what I was thinking was the places that are a little richer, like maybe this building or this, like they're a little more complicated. There's clearly like levels of roofs, so it's probably like a 3 or 4 story house.
Yeah.
As opposed to like something like this or this, where it's just like one roof, or it's a flat top roof. It's more like like a 3-story apartment building kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that. I think the let's see if I can refer to this somehow. From my perspective, at the bottom, it's the top of your page. There's like a cluster of 4 buildings.
At the top, at the north, you can say north. This is north, right?
Okay, yeah. So yeah, the very northern edge that's actually drawn in. There's 4 smaller structures.
Yes.
Yeah, that right there.
Yeah.
That scale, like that because they're smaller and they're kind of packed close together, that also makes me think that it's kind of lower end.
Yeah.
And maybe it might be even possible that there's one scale smaller than that, where there would be like 8 little row houses packed into that space in a poorer area.
Right. Yeah, and I think you have more of that here. These are
right.
Like really small, and really on the scale of things, like this would be like a 1-bedroom house, or like 2 stories of very small houses, or even like, I mean, this is like tiny. I mean, they're basically a quarter size of these things.
Yeah, let me orient to where that is on the map. Oh yeah.
This is the north still up here, so it's right next to it. It's this island.
Right. It's that middle section that's kind of at an angle, and it's all densely packed.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely like smaller structures and stuff, or more tightly packed things.
Right, and I think you're like the places that are near the power towers, the magnetic towers, like here and here. They're probably people that work there or do the things that are involved with that.
Yeah.
I would guess there's probably like a crematorium or crematorium, right?
Yeah, there could be, and it's probably a place people don't want to live too.
Right.
So if you can afford not to, you live somewhere else.
Right, exactly. And then this one, it's like right on the coast, and I think it looks out over to the like the rich area island, and it's right near like the larger docks, which are just south of it.
Yep.
It's like kind of more warehouse space, and then as you move away, it's like the people who work at the warehouse.
Yes.
It's across the river, and it's more densely packed. And if you have to move shipments and stuff, you need wider roads and stuff. So I think that kind of makes sense here.
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
And that might sort of, I mean, that might be what happens on the entire coast of the map here. Like all this would probably be like shipping and warehouses and stuff like that, especially here. Like this is basically like the warehouse district.
Yeah, definitely. And the other lightning tower in the set of islands that you're working on right now,
Yeah.
like the farthest north one.
Yeah.
There's kind of a set of these like fields or something just south of it, and a road that bisects those.
This here.
Yeah, right there.
Right, I have that outline. This kind of like, I don't know if you can see this lighter gray, and it has X's because this was like a sort of a lighter gray area that you had with these buildings on top.
I was kind of thinking that like there's a bridge that runs east across to the sort of mainland right there.
Yeah.
And that's getting into the area where there are those big farm plots in the east.
So, that is out there.
Yeah. So I was thinking maybe like there's kind of settlements and stuff built up on the other side of the bridge, and maybe this western area here with the sort of fields and buildings is a place where they like bring. It's one of the places maybe where they bring stuff across the bridge, and there's like places to store goods and stuff, and some of that field there is like the reason I made it a different color was maybe it was actually like not streets, it was like field space where they stack up goods and have carts come and go and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, all right. So it is kind of like another secondary warehouse district. Are these like power towers, or do they just generate the field that keeps ghosts out?
Well, I guess originally they're towers that generate the field. But it would make sense that they would also be a place to plug into the sort of power grid.
Right.
So yeah, I guess it does make sense that they would have some kind of. I don't know if they're generating power or if they're just supplying it to the.
Right. Which makes sense if this is like light industry, then you want to be like right next to the power source.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe the ghosts flying into the field are what generate the power, not the other way around.
Yeah. They get a tiny little bump in their output when that happens.
There's just billions of souls flying around, and they're just hoping they're catching them in their fly nets. Each one burns for a little bit of power. Cool. So I guess the other thing is that you talked about is the sky bridges.
Yeah.
And so I sort of have them a little bit here. I have like really small, like kind of 2-lane ones that, or like I was thinking of them like almost like railings, but they kind of just, they could be on a second story, or they're not quite roof to roof.
Yeah.
Maybe something like this is like the roof continues between two buildings and then you can go under it. I guess the thing is like, how do you show that something goes under this? Like, is that a building or is that a bridge?
Right. Right. I think for this area, having just a few makes sense because it's like you said, it's mostly wider streets and
right.
People probably wouldn't build them to be really long. And how you're going to show the elevation, I don't know exactly. I mean, obviously shadows is one way to go, but it's not really a shadowy kind of style. So
right. Well, at least not this type here. But yeah, and I'm wondering if it's sorry, this is like my scratch pad here. Taking the blocks that are here and then just connecting them. And I wonder if this just like has X pattern instead of the roof pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Just separate a little and then do like the little railing thing. Not really sure, and actually maybe it should go like onto the actual rooftop.
Oh yeah, so it kind of crosses over. Yeah, that kind of helps sell it, I think.
Right, and then you'll start to get the idea that it's like, oh yeah, that's on top of that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like more of a lattice. like a guitar strung across it.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense, though. I mean, they could be lots of different constructions, but it almost reads like a slat, like a rope bridge thing.
Hmm.
It wouldn't necessarily be that, but that would help sell what it's supposed to be.
Right, and I guess right, the question is like, what in your mind, what is it?
I think, especially in the denser areas, it's probably just planks that
Oh,
we'll have put across to just make it convenient to go from building to building. Um, in nicer areas, there might be like built bridges that are like an actual bridge, a nice bridge that just doesn't go over water; it just goes over the street.
oh, right, yeah, yeah, totally. That it's built up.
Yeah, that was actually like purposely constructed to be a footbridge. So in that case, maybe they would have like little stairs on either side that go up. Um,
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So it would be like the bridge across, and then like kind of stairs on the outside of it or something
hmm
on either side. That makes sense. Like a little landing at the top or something.
Yeah.
I guess that would be if it was longer. Hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry if I make anybody dizzy here, spinning it around. I draw straight lines north to south. I can't really do it east to west. They're all jaggedy.
I was trying to think if there are any cities, and like Venice has lots of footbridges, but they're all over water. But maybe,
Even just to see what they look like from above.
yeah, maybe there's this like a visual cue there that isn't coming to mind right now, but something that'll.
Hey, Google Maps, that's what you're for.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at that right now.
Yeah, it's kind of sounds. I guess I want to try and add it to the pencil layer before I start doing it, just so I'm not guessing where a lot of this stuff connects.
Yeah.
I might also start filling in some roofs with like this kind of really tight uh, line work, so they're darker than the street. Some of the buildings that are sort of flat white, maybe get those to be a little bit darker.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I think that could look really good.
All right. Well, let's see.
All right, I found a million bridges, but no overhead shots yet.
Not Google Maps.
Yeah, it's for some reason the satellite view is not helping right now, but I'm gonna reload it. I don't know what its problem is.
What's your problem, satellite view? Jesus. Yeah, I wonder is a network of the roof bridges? Is it throughout the whole thing? Is it just a couple buildings?
I think it should probably correlate to the density and the size of the little alleyways and stuff. in
Right.
the like the very center of the map, there's like that super high density area um, of the whole city map, right in the middle.
Right. Right.
So that's where I'm imagining there's just tons of those little connectors and everything. But as you radiate out from there, I think they probably get less common.
And I guess that has had the most chance to really build that kind of stuff up.
Right, it's like the oldest part of town.
Right, those are where all the secrets are. Or I think the next thing I'm going to do is skip to that part. Uh, because I have a feeling that people are going to use that area more than other areas.
Yeah, that's probably true.
It'd be good to really like spend some time on there, making that a more unique area. Or I'm like, I did all the suburbs, and everyone's like, yeah, but everything's in the city, and I'm like, oh man, cool.
Thanks for nothing.
I just burned all the copies of that map. Oh. I mean, I guess they could even connect over the roofs.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, oh, Google Maps, what are you doing?
Huh?
Like, you're doing a Hangout. You can't use two Google things at the same time. That's crazy.
That's why you have multiple devices.
Yeah.
Use. That's for.
All right. It's loading anyway.
Cool rooftops there in Venice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you've got some of that kind of look going on with the like those square buildings that have the courtyard opening in the middle.
Right, yeah, yeah. I want to try and do more of that kind of stuff.
Those are cool. It looks like pretty much everything has that like peaked roof, like um, I think it's good to have a mix of some flat roofs and some peaked roofs.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like I like the idea of, I mean, like chase scenes always happen over kind of like multiple sort of triangular roofs next to each other, which will read better
Yeah.
if they're shading, but I think you can kind of imagine that. Uh,
Yeah, I wonder if you can do that with like line weight on the slats, maybe. So one side is like
yeah.
finer line and one side is heavier or something.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I'll give that a try. Now I just have to go over all the lines that are already there. Thanks a lot.
No problem.
I mean, looking at bridges on Google Maps, it is kind of just like, I don't know, there's railings.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything real distinctive to make it.
And I guess they have kind of steps at either side, question mark?
Sometimes there's like the middle is raised, so either end is sort of like ramped.
Right.
Um,
Oh, this is a cool bridge. It widens in the middle. But yeah, it's like really shadows sell all of this, is what's happening.
yeah,
Just think, one day Venice will be completely underwater.
I think if you draw it in some way so it doesn't look uh, like a wing of the building connecting to the other building, people are
Yeah,
naturally
like this
gonna.
one does here.
Hang on, let me switch my screens. Yeah, that one. Yeah,
Because it's just really difficult to tell if that's
right. Is that just a
happening.
connect? Is the building shaped like that, or is it joined by this other thing, or? Yeah, as long as it looks separate in some way, maybe having those slats, like you were saying, will help. Um, I think people will naturally figure out what it is. Like, oh, this isn't part of the building. This is a connector between the two. It's not
I
something.
guess, I guess they can always just make it up.
Well, that's true too. And honestly, that's one reason why this detailed version or hand-drawn version is so great, because people are going to be able to wonder about some of these little details and be like, what is that? Is that a skylight or is that a chimney? And you're just like, I think it's a chimney, and that's great.
And I did that with the docks over here. It's like, okay, like clearly this one goes like up to this house on these steps, but maybe this one goes under the cliff side, and probably this one. But
Yeah.
it's kind of some interpretation of like what goes into a tunnel, what doesn't. Like this one has a set of stairs, so.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh, it might be nice for some of these to have, like, imagine that there's a cut-in on the coast that like a man-made like a U shape of a landing, so the water comes in sort of a channel, and then there's an entrance, like what happens in our games all the time when we're like, we go down to the water line and through the cistern gate.
Right.
The thing, like, maybe there's a way to see that it in a form that doesn't have a roof over it. It's like an open air, instead of the dock protruding out into the canal, it like protrudes in to the land.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a sheltered little dock area with a gate or something that
More of
goes.
an alcove.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe there's a way to indicate that this, like, oh yeah, if you go in here, then you're going under the street level when you enter that.
Right. Yeah. And I wonder. I mean, I'm sort of adding that, like the tilted rock. It's like, oh yeah, this is pointing down.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a tunnel.
Yes, like that. Yep. That's good.
Go in.
And I haven't started on the subterranean map yet, so I can use some of these things that you make as a starting point for the sewer maps.
And draw, like, can be like big neon arrows that are like entrance.
Secret sewer tunnel.
Here, at your own risk. Death! Exclamation point. Alright. Jeez, do people come in here to see me talk or draw stuff? I don't know. I think I had to do a little more work on the sky bridge portion before I really start in on that, really kind of figure that out.
That's a good idea, yeah. You can figure out, play around with the look until you're happy with it before you draw 100 of them.
Jeez, imagine if I did this with a ruler like Dylan said. That would take forever. Kind of got to constantly go back and reference the things that worked on the last map and be like, can't just make the same shape all the time. Be creative.
Yeah, I think like chopping up the blocks the way you had done in a few cases where it wasn't just a continuous building, it was like a bunch of smaller things.
Yeah.
And that, especially the ones that have like different roof lines all stacked together, those look really great.
Yeah, I think those are, and again, like I'll just, I'll get into a rhythm of just drawing squares and putting the lines in, and I'm like, man, I have to like tilt, like this building I kind of did a little bit more, like, all right, it should probably be turned, and I don't know who built this thing, but they were trying to be different, so.
Yeah, that one's really good. The one by the coastline too with the dock, that's cool.
That's where rich people live.
Yeah, but you need like a mix, right? Some buildings are just simple, and that's great, but
right.
Others. Also, I like the one on the north side that's below, just south of the group of four. That one, yeah. that there's just something about that style that is cool with the like four slanted roof.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of all over the place with the multiple roof, or just like it's a square with slanted roofs. It seems like it would probably be the most
Yeah,
common building type.
maybe you have that here. It's kind of hard to tell, but on that one with the four, are those like inset windows on the?
On that one?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, like it's the they protrude from the roof.
yeah. I really like that. That seems like it'd be a fairly common thing, and it shows the scale a little bit too. You're like,
Right.
okay, there's
Yeah, that's something. Looking at the maps of like some of actually like Soto and then of Paris, like you see a lot of these little block things that are just like they're kind of straight across windows,
hmm
but they also protrude though. Uh, and then like roofs that kind of tilt in and go flat in the middle.
Yeah, I like that.
Is anybody asking questions?
Not yet. No.
Is anybody even here?
Yes. There are at least two other people watching right now.
Sweet.
It's always hard to tell exactly, but yeah, next to that, like the buildings that are really close to that tower, maybe there's some storage sheds or piles of old parts or I don't know, something to like a little thing that shows like this is a maintenance worker area for the.
Right. Oh, I guess there could probably be like some like a little footpath or something that goes up.
Oh yeah, yeah, that'd be good.
You got to do maintenance on that thing.
There's a gate there on the
Yeah.
fence.
And then I guess the other thing I was thinking about this morning was like what the actual electroplasm looks like,
hmm
and how that can, how does it? I assume these are like transmitter stations or like halfway points.
Yeah,
How does it look between each of those?
yeah, that would be really cool if you could come up with a like what does the lightning look like? That's a good question because it doesn't have to be literal lightning per se. It could be
Yeah,
some.
to me, it's more like it's almost like a plasma, like lightning, like a liquid lightning kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have some ideas of how I might do that in this map. I hear the echo of me spinning the paper. I make tiny lines for fun.
Just do a million more and then you're done.
Yep. And then go in and darken one side of each.
Chris says, awesome job so far.
Thanks, Chris.
One thing I think will probably happen too is there'll be when your map exists and Tony's, there'll be a lot of like combo stuff, I bet, where people are like, yeah, see this thing here? It's this part of the weird building Tony drew is this thing on Ryan's map, and people can mix and match them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on Thursday night, how it's kind of, these aren't exact interpretations, and it's like, what did the map makers see in that, as they were making this and walked around at street level?
yeah. Yeah, it reinforces the whole idea of the setting. It's a bunch of prompts, but not really a hard definition for everything.
Right, yeah.
Which drives some people crazy, but that's how it goes.
I was thinking about our downtime the other night, and actually while we were doing it, and how that sometimes it's almost like, oh, we got to do downtime, like, this is the thing we do when we're not doing things. But, that's kind of become one of our more interesting parts of our game.
Yeah.
Is doing the downtime stuff and actually making that be more a part of the game. Like it's not like, oh, we got to do this just to get rid of ice and whatever. It's like
Yeah, it's not just a chore.
right. It's like, oh, we're advancing the story, and I think actually a lot of the more interesting stuff that we've been doing has come out of that. Like the potion gun stuff, and then we did something the other night also that was kind of what did Ed and I do? Didn't we have to go on like a little mission?
Yeah, you guys did part of your downtime together. I'm blanking on it for some reason.
Oh, when I went to, I was like pontificating about the Forgotten Gods.
Oh yeah, right.
And it wasn't like, I mean, I was like working on the clock, but it wasn't something that I'm actively pursuing, but it's something that I just started to do anyway.
Yeah.
And that just became like, oh, okay, so like this is a different part of my character. Like, what do I do when I'm not trying to steal stuff?
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, I thought that it fit in really well with what we were doing.
Yeah, in the previous session, Dylan had his crazy drug trip and dealt like psychedelic cursed weapon stuff.
Oh right, yeah.
Right,
and then we were trying to explain to Ed what that was.
And actually, the job you did on Thursday was also from downtime because Zane, he overindulged with his drug supplier, and they gave him the lead on the Foghound's drugs that used.
Oh, right, yeah.
So that actually came from the downtime action,
which turned out to be a fun little heist, also.
Yeah, that was probably like the cleanest actual heist we've done so far, I think. Because usually they turn into like some kind of murder or ritual or strange thing, and that was like, we're gonna actually like sneak in with rope and pulley and like pull stuff out of this warehouse under their noses, and
we were thieves, like it says on our sheet.
You were actually thieves.
Yay.
It was good. It was really tight. It felt like you had a plan, you executed it.
Things came up, but we dealt with it. It was fine.
Yeah.
Good job, everybody.
It's interesting because you guys have played the game the longest, but have played every version of it, so it's like you have to relearn how to be good at using the game system every few months. And now that the system isn't changing anymore, it's like I'm starting to see you guys develop those mastery things. Like the first few sessions of the final rule set, people were like stressing way out and hitting trauma and kind of like dealing with everything on their own, and now you're getting much better at like spreading it around the group and really leveraging ability to share stress and
Right, right, and even like taking on we each kind of different things to get rid of heat. Because it was
oh
like,
yeah,
hey,
that was
you're
good.
not really doing much. Why don't you like try and reduce this heat on us a little bit?
Yeah, one thing I'm tweaking. Some people on the forum had some good feedback about the costs for multiple downtime phases, which we never really do. So it has never been an issue for us. But the current cost structure is a little off. So
What does it cost to do downtime?
right now you get one for free, basically between scores. But if you wanted to say like, oh, we're all really screwed up really bad, we need to take another downtime phase to heal some more and de-stress some more. Um, the cost used to be one hold or one coin to do another downtime phase, but that just doesn't really work that way because it's it costs one coin to improve your vice roll. So spending one coin to have everyone on the team get a whole other turn of downtime is like stupidly cheap.
Right, right.
So I'm gonna tweak that just in some way. I might just say that there's no such thing as multiple downtime phases. It's just a given character can spend a coin to to like go again to do another operation. Like I'm gonna reduce heat and work on a personal project. You're like, okay, you can do both of those, but it costs a coin to do that.
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
I might do it that way, or someone else suggested that it's like it costs the crew one hold and some coin because time is passing and you're kind of losing your grip on your tier.
Right, yeah, yeah. You're not like actively pursuing what your group is supposed to do.
Yeah, that's something. It just hasn't come up in our playtest because we're usually content to just instead of taking multiple downtime phases, it's like, I still have stress, whatever.
Right.
I don't care. Let's just keep going.
What's the worst that could happen, really?
Yeah.
All my art up to this point is based on circles. This is a big change for me.
That's true. If they could see the art behind you.
Yes.
There it is.
Just some circles.
Yeah.
But the attention to detail is there. The tedious art, as Melissa calls it.
That's right. Well, maybe you can design one of the cities of the empire is all built on circles.
That's the next one. Circle City. They weren't that inventive.
Everyone there is just constantly dizzy.
Running in circles all day. On this other one, I was thinking that this area here, and maybe even like this guy here, who he might like own this tower or something. Like they have these giant skylights that they can watch it from. Like it's a kind of a cool spectacle.
Yeah, that's cool.
It like lights their interior at night or whatever, and this could be like people who work on that or scientists or whatever who work with plasma, but they get to like kind of study its effects from afar. And then this guy just kind of like he's got a skylight that look out that way, so you can sort of just see it glowing in the distance at all times.
Yeah, that's cool.
I figured that there's probably some people in this world that are just obsessed with electroplasm.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's so important. It keeps everyone alive, basically. So,
Right.
and it's well, the way I think of it anyway is it's some mad geniuses hundreds of years ago figured out some kind of solution, but it's not like science today where all information is shared and maybe they don't that guy died and they don't really know how it works exactly and
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
stuff is all lost, his notebooks are lost or whatever, and they have to sort of reinvent when something breaks. They're like, well, that was the
I hope
last.
that doesn't break, because I don't know how it works.
Yeah, and it's up. And most people don't really play this as a post-apocalyptic kind of thing, but you totally can. It technically is.
Yeah, it really, literally is post-apocalypse.
Yeah, there is a certain amount of scarcity. There's only so much space inside the city and only so much raw materials to work with. So yeah, I like the idea of the like several different researchers all jealously guarding their work, and that'd be a fun faction. Somebody suggested like a machinist faction, like from the Thief games. Um, I think I'm going to include something like that, or maybe one or two different ones.
Machinist, you said?
Yeah, some kind of technology faction-based faction, or,
No, that'd
or
be cool.
or a few. I like this idea. Maybe there's one that it has to do with.
The Plasma Guild.
Yeah, like maybe that's a thing. Like the people who run the towers are. It's not just part of the city government. They're like a separate entity,
Right.
um, which would give them a lot of power. No pun intended.
Yeah. They're like Master Blaster, and they all ride on.
Yeah, they have these big thug dudes that they ride around on.
Turn the power off. Everyone
Who
knows.
runs Bartertown?
These guys have some skylights looking out over here.
Jeffrey says, Ryan is so fast. Digging the Duskwall background.
Thanks. Geez, if this is fast, I hate to see what slow would be like.
I think you're pretty fast too, but when there's so much to do, it probably feels like it's not fast enough.
Yeah. Well, you know. I'm gonna try a little sky bridge here. Actually, looking at the Venice map gave me an idea of like maybe it's kind of like a little joint at the end like that.
Oh yeah, that definitely makes it look like it's on top of the thing.
Right. Yeah.
And that keeps it from looking like a tunnel or something too.
Right. It's like an open-ended piece of it.
Yeah. Yeah, this is actually pretty fun to watch. I might stream one of these for when I'm drawing some of the portraits and stuff too.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. But you do that on Photoshop?
Yeah, pretty much. I toyed around with. Sorry.
Illustrator?
Yeah, I've toyed around with different solutions. Adobe Draw and Ideas are pretty great, but they're Apple only, and since I switched to the Surface, I have basically abandoned those. They're both really great, but the touch interface in Illustrator is pretty good and pretty good for drawing, but I think right now I've finally found some really great ink, sort of cartooning brush sets for Photoshop that are working out pretty well.
Right, yeah.
They have that really nice, pressure sensitivity, and they kind of taper off at the ends and gives you a nice ink line. In the back of my mind, I'm always like, man, this should be vector. I'm committing to a resolution. It's all right. I'm doing them at as high res as my machine will allow. So
I have a fear of commitment to resolution.
yeah, it's this like balancing act where I can go crazy way over high res, but some of the brushes render kind of slowly, and it makes it impossible to draw.
Right.
So
Yeah, that'd be awesome to see that though.
yeah, I think I'll probably do that. Do you have a well, I guess you have the webcam you're using here, but one of your like cameras, can you do like time lapse with that?
You can do time lapse on an iPhone.
Oh yeah, of course. That would be another cool way to do this if you're just drawing on your own sometime, shoot a time lapse of this. That would be really cool to see it all like magically
See
spring
this
to
thing
life.
spinning really quickly all the time
Yeah, yeah,
as it gets bigger.
yeah.
Did you see the time lapse of Tony doing that one map? But he doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't spin the map. He does it all, and it's like the super fine lined, and he's doing it all on a erasable board. But he just, he's here, just like fills it all in, and like just as fine as this almost, except with a Sharpie.
I'll have to watch that. That sounds awesome. Was that on his Patreon?
Oh, maybe. Where did I see? I think Jonathan Walton posted it on Google Plus.
Oh, okay.
The window here, or is it a door? Tune in to find out. Play to find out.
That's right. Allison has a comment. She says, talking about mad scientists who guard their electroplasm secrets, is there like an electroplasm watchdog faction, like the investigate or not cops, but like government conspiracy types, like Zoe Barnes from House of Cards, or they try to expose illegal uses and
Oh yeah, totally. They're like the energy police.
yeah, it's a cool idea in general. Like, because Duskwall does have newspapers and things, and I haven't really. Oh, they should totally be a faction. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. The press is obviously an important faction.
Right. Yeah.
Um, if you have a bad relationship with them, you get you get in trouble in the press.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
guess energy thieves or people who like bottle it and maybe like ship it off, ship it to other areas or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the power structure as I conceive it right now is the noble. Being a noble basically means it used to mean you had land, but now it means you have Leviathan hunting ships.
Mm-hmm.
So they go out and they get their blood, the raw blood, and that gets processed into the electroplasm. So that's where the nobility like has their power. If their ships don't sail, everybody dies basically. But yeah, then there's these like secondary and tertiary tiers of power there where that some stuff goes missing and it gets sold on the black market and it gets distilled into something else and people illegally draw power off the grid that they shouldn't, and yeah, there's a lot of good material there for criminal operations.
I guess in our one game we were doing a lot of sort of soul collecting.
Yeah, that one crew before we really had crew types, you were basically you were like a mix between hawkers and smugglers for spirit stuff.
You need some pipes for ventilation up here, obviously.
Obviously.
A little door that you can get up in. Look, I almost did 4 whole buildings today. Flying right through it.
4 buildings in like 30 minutes. That's not too bad.
So when these like odd-shaped buildings, I get a little bit probably into more detail than I really need, but you can kind of do some neat stuff with it, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point of this. Like, looking at that weird shape and getting creative about what it is. It seems like the rectangle places are the harder ones in a way, because, like, well, how do I make this interesting?
Right. Yeah.
Time.
Well, I think that one of the more interesting ones, and I think I'm going to do more of it, is this, where it's like the overlapping roof, where it's clearly like, oh, a second story.
Yeah, I really like
That's
that.
just like a straight rectangle.
Yeah.
Or this, where it's like, okay, there's probably like a tower on the corner of that building.
Yeah, that's really cool. But for those to be cool, I guess you got to have your just plain slat roofed structures too. If everything's special, it's just going to be too busy.
Everything is special, John.
The motto for the game.
You're a special plasma snowflake.
Every blade is special.
And then there's the kids' version, Blades in the Park. I think adding some of these really fine kind of hatched areas will help.
Yeah, it really helps break it up so it's not just one tone, so to speak.
You gotta add a little dirt here because people smoke cigarettes and stuff up here. Perfect. Totally not obsessed with detail.
You're just going to keep zooming in. Each map gets smaller and smaller. Finally, just one guy's room. You're like drawing the stains on the floor.
Oh, is that a city block? No, that's one building. I mean, on the one page? Yes. John, I'm done. I did one building.
Speaking of that, I do plan to, I think I'm going to do like an elevation and floor plan view of 3 or 4, exemplar buildings in Duskwall. So,
oh yeah,
like almost like an architect's, plan.
Well, I was thinking that these, like the towers, and even here, I captured this cool screenshot of like this might be the cliffside here instead, and it's kind of like they like dug out the cliff here, and it's like kind of it's like
this. It's all low down.
Yeah, and so they kind of dug this out, and then they made this a hill where this sits on top of everything.
That's great. That's a great idea.
Kind of like tower over the cities, which makes more sense because they want higher reach anyway. But it's like could be a bunch of crumbled rock and crap all down here.
Yeah, that's awesome. There could be not a bridge, but a supported walkway out to a tower or something that.
From one of the buildings.
Yeah, like off the cliff edge, or maybe it's out. It's like poking. It's like moored in the water, but.
Going this way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
That could be cool.
Testing station. I guess you could have like if there was a road through the fence, it could like go up and around.
Mm-hmm.
Up a hill or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having some terrain variations would be really great.
I'm gonna have to sign off here real soon, but
all right.
In terms of Electroplasma, I wanted to show really quick another drawing I did a while ago that is kind of crazy. I mean, there's like these ship things in there, but
yeah,
kind of whirly plasma smoke stuff.
That's great. I love that.
And maybe it looks something like that with maybe some more jagged edges here and there, but
yeah, no, that's really good.
So
it kind of it reminds me of the classic ectoplasm,
right?
Also with that sort of energy look to it. That's really good.
More tedious design work.
Exactly.
Look at the rivets. It holds it together. Did he text you back? Pretty sure. All right, everybody, I'm back,
All right.
and I'm gonna leave now.
Thanks for hanging out. It was fun.
Thanks for having me. Are you gonna continue on?
I think I'm gonna sign off too.
Are you done the pool map?
Yeah, it's basically done. I'm doing the sort of labeled version right now, and then starting on the sewer level at some point.
Is it the one that AI that you sent me? Is that the finished one?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, thanks for letting me hang out, everybody.
Sure thing.
Have a
Thanks
good
for
day.
watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye.
How did I